Let's dig deep into Mr. Mom, 1983, one of the funniest, most relatable comedies of the early 80s. Not only did it flip expectations about moms, dads, and who does what around the house, it also helped launch Michael Keaton's career into the stratosphere. All right, here's the deal. Michael Keaton plays Jack Butler, a regular Detroit guy and car engineer who suddenly gets booted from his job. His wife Caroline, played by Teri Garr, steps up and heads back to work at an ad agency. So guess who's stuck at home with their 3 young kids? Yep, Jack. Cue chaos. Jack can't figure out how the washing machine works. Seriously, that thing's a villain. Burns more grilled cheese sandwiches than he eats, and totally wipes out trying to wrangle diapers. The movie's hilarious because it's also recognizable, except Jack initially has zero clue what he's doing. But here's what makes it more than just a slapstick fest. Jack slowly gets the hang of it. He stumbles, he struggles, but he grows pretty good at this dad-at-home gig and even gains a little self-respect along the way. Meanwhile, Caroline is learning her own hard lessons at work, especially with her super slimy boss, Ron Richardson, Martin Mull, making life complicated. In the end, it's all about family, flexibility, and working together, however you divvy up the chores. When Mr. Mom hit theaters, stuff was shifting in America. More women were joining the workforce, and seeing a Mr. Mom was still kind of a weird concept. The movie totally pokes fun at those old ideas, showing both the mess and the magic of switching up traditional roles. The best part? The humor still feels fresh, mostly because of Michael Keaton's charm and John Hughes' writing. He'd go on to do 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club, so, he knows teens and families. Cast shoutouts. Michael Keaton as Jack Butler. Before Beetlejuice and Batman, Keaton showed off his comedic chops here, and people loved it. Teri Garr as Caroline Butler. She keeps things real. You believe she could handle work, kids, and whatever else comes her way. Martin Mull as Ron Richardson, basically the boss you hope you never get. And Gillian as Joan, the over-the-top flirty neighbor who brings her own kind of domestic drama. Christopher Lloyd has a quick, but fun, cameo as one of Jack's old co-workers. Fun fact, John Hughes wrote the script. Yep, his very first one. He pulled a lot of inspiration from being a stay-at-home dad in the Chicago suburbs. Stan Dragotti directed with just the right touch, keeping things light but grounded. After the movie became a hit, Hughes got enough street cred to make all those legendary 80s comedies we still quote today. How'd it do? Budget, not huge, around $5 million. Box office, huge for its time, raked in about $64 million worldwide. Reviews, critics mostly liked it. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars and loved the freshness and good humor. The New York Times called it bright and funny. Some folks said it still clung to traditional gender ideas by the end, but overall, it honestly captured a cultural shift and made everyone laugh about it along the way. What's the legacy? The phrase Mr. Mom totally stuck. Now it's what we call any dad who stays home with the kids. There was a short-lived TV sitcom version in the 80s, and Walmart's Voodoo even tried bringing it back with a reboot a few years ago. It launched Michael Keaton as a comedy star and solidified John Hughes as the guy who just got American families. And now it's a great little nostalgia trip. Totally 1980s, but still super watchable. Cool trivia. That crazy scene with the vacuum cleaner. Jaws. Michael Keaton made it up on the spot. The Detroit setting is a sneaky reference to America's factories changing and families having to roll with it. This was actually one of the first big comedies where a guy learns that being a Mr. Mom isn't embarrassing at all. It's legit character growth. Bottom line. Mr. Mom is pure 80s gold, a feel-good, laugh-out-loud movie that actually has a bit of something to say about work, family, and switching up the status quo. Want more rad 80s movie throwbacks? Subscribe to Movies of the 80s for your next nostalgia fix.